So now we go to another member of the Lance J Radio Network, getting as many people in today as possible. And the shows when Ray is out and we don't have any hip-hop interviews, I try to get people on the team in to represent. I'm only as strong as the people on my team. So I'm going to go to one of the other former co-host of my show, and him and I have an ongoing beef. We go to Jeremy Winston in Dayton, Mr. Rubicon. He's been back and forth, and him and I have been arguing about various things, whether it's who the big joker or little joker is, and he has the same over and over discussion where he uses the same lines about debunking the greatness of LeBron James, and I'm sure watching the Cavs get blown out today, he was very, very excited. But Jeremy's coming on today for a different reason. We made a wager. A lot of people don't know Jeremy Winston is a world-class musician. This guy has his own choir. He is, I believe, the chair of the music department at Central States University in Wilberforce, Ohio. This guy has an excellent music background, and we made a bet that for some reason he felt that the LeBron train was going to end in Toronto, and I said absolutely not. We made a bet that if that did not happen, that Jeremy was going to have to serenade me and talk about my greatness. So this is kind of the prelim. He's going to come in and sing for me next week. But what's going on, Jeremy?
James, what's going on, man? Let me say this. I made the bet. So everyone out there listening, I did make the bet. It was an ill-advised bet. But let me tell you what. The Cavaliers we saw today, not even the Cavaliers, the Boston team, the opponents that we saw today, were the opponents that I thought was going to show up in Toronto. And, as a matter of fact, I'll even take it a step further. The opponents we saw for the entire game today in Boston were the opponents that I thought was going to play the entire game in Toronto. The first three quarters of Toronto in the first game was the Toronto Raptors that I thought was going to show up for the entire game. Something happened midway. They got put in, and LeBron James punched them in the mouth, and all of a sudden they got scared. I made the bet, so I tell all the listeners out there, be ready. I got a song. Lance J made a very gracious introduction of me about my,
Hey man, you're a jerk, but you can sing. Like I can't front on your skills as a musician. I mean, you're the bomb as a conductor, as a singer, as a pianist. Like you got mad skills. Like I can't front on that.
I appreciate that. So I'm saying I'm putting together a nice masterpiece to show my end of the deal. It is heartbreaking for me to actually have to sing the words that praises James Lewis in the way that it does. But however, I will be putting that to music. It'll be a great piece that he can cut up, put it on Facebook, put it on Instagram, so all of our friends can mock me because I made an ill-advised bet because the silly Toronto Raptors were too scared to compete. I was wrong for making that bet. However, I still believe to this day that Toronto Raptors on paper, and even looking at the history of the season, they should have beaten the Cavaliers in this past series, but they got scared. I think
obviously you've been living under a rock and you haven't seen the fact that LeBron swept them the previous year. That the year before they beat them 4-1.
It's not that I live under a rock. I just I don't live in a constant state of emotional decision making. Like I'm not going to bet against a team because of some historical psychological victory.
Right.
The fact of the matter is the Toronto Raptors won over 60 games in the regular season. That's significant. All right, they have a better team on paper. They were just beaten psychologically by the Cleveland Cavaliers, and I don't think the Cleveland Cavaliers get past Boston, which to me is an inferior team to the Raptors. Well, it can't be explained. It's just one of these things.
We gotta cut you off, Jeremy, with the master of the run-on sentence. We'll be back after these messages. Lance J Radio Network with the most special guest that I've ever had since this show has been on the air. NBC Sports Radio.